Have you ever looked at your dog and thought, they seem totally fine, only to find out later that they weren't? Your dog loves you. That part is obvious. But here's what nobody tells you. That love is exactly why they hide the truth from you. Dogs are wired to conceal pain and illness. And if you don't know what to look for, they will suffer in silence while you assume everything is fine. We're going through 7 of them today. And a couple of them, especially the one about how your dog acts when you come home and what they do with their food bowl, are going to completely change the way you read your dog's behavior. Let's start with the sign hiding in the most ordinary moment of your day. 1. They act slightly off, and you chalk it up to mood. Have you ever looked at your dog and thought, they're just being weird today? Maybe they didn't sprint to the door when you got home. Maybe they skipped the burst of energy they always have after dinner. You made a mental note and moved on. Most people read these small dips as personality quirks. A tired day. Just a passing mood. Dogs have off days, right? But here's what's really happening. That vague offness, the slightly slower tail, the eyes that track you but don't fully engage, is often the first language your dog has for something isn't right. It shows up before anything visible, before anything you could point to. It's the very beginning of a signal, arriving quietly, hoping you'll notice. Behavioral veterinarians describe this as a preclinical window. The period before an illness produces measurable symptoms, when the only evidence is a subtle shift in how present your dog feels. Research in veterinary behavioral medicine suggests these micro changes are among the most reliable early indicators owners can observe. And yet, they're the ones most consistently dismissed. That wasn't a bad mood. That was your dog reaching out in the only way they knew how, and hoping you'd reach back. And here's something worth holding on to for later. Once you understand why dogs hide all of these signs in the first place, the actual reason buried deep in their biology, every single thing on this list is going to hit differently. We'll get there by the end. 2. They eat more slowly, or stop finishing their bowl. Has your dog ever left food in their bowl? Maybe just the last few bites. Maybe they started eating and simply walked away. You probably refilled it later, or figured they just weren't that hungry. Most people think a dog eating less is being picky, bored with the same food, holding out for something better. But here's what's really happening. A dog's relationship with food is one of the most stable baselines they have. Dogs don't develop opinions about their meals on a Tuesday afternoon. When they slow down or stop, something changed, physically. Nausea, dental pain, a sore throat, early organ stress. The bowl is a record your dog fills out every single day. And most owners never think to read it. And here's where it gets deeper. Veterinary nutritionists and internal medicine specialists consistently flag appetite changes as one of the top clinical indicators of systemic illness in dogs. And often the first one owners can track without any equipment at all. A dog who ate every last bite for 3 years and now consistently leaves a portion behind is telling you something measurable, something worth paying attention to. That half-eaten bowl isn't pickiness. That's your dog's body sending a message your dog doesn't have the words for. And by the way, there's one sign later in this list that has nothing to do with how your dog looks or acts. It's about what they do when they think you're not watching. Most owners never catch it. We'll get there. And hey, if this is changing the way you see your dog right now, hit that like button and subscribe. That's how we get these videos to more dog owners who want to understand what their dog has been trying to tell them. 3. They lick one spot on their body over and over. Have you ever noticed your dog licking the same patch of fur? The same paw, the same joint, the same spot on their belly, day after day? Maybe a small bald patch has started forming, and you figured it was just a habit they picked up. Most people assume repetitive licking is anxiety, boredom, or something that will pass on its own. It becomes background noise, something the dog just does. But here's what's really happening. Dogs cannot point to where it hurts. They don't have that option, but they can lick. And when a dog returns to the exact same location again and again, they are, as precisely as they are capable of, pointing. That spot is the location of the problem. A joint beginning to ache. A mass forming beneath the skin. A nerve issue radiating outward. The licking is a map, drawn the only way they know how. Veterinary dermatologists and orthopedic specialists recognize focused, repetitive self-licking as a referred pain indicator, meaning the licking site often corresponds to an internal source of discomfort, not just a surface irritation. This is especially documented in early arthritis in dogs, where licking above a joint can precede visible limping by months. That isn't a habit. That's your dog drawing you a map and waiting patiently for you to follow it. 4. They sleep in a different spot than usual. Does your dog have a spot? The corner of the couch, the foot of the bed, the particular patch of floor they've claimed for years. And have you ever noticed them suddenly abandoning it, choosing somewhere new for no obvious reason? Most people don't even register the change. Or if they do, they assume the dog found somewhere more comfortable. It barely registers. But here's what's really happening. A dog's chosen resting place isn't random. It's selected based on temperature, proximity to the people they love, and, critically, how their body feels when they lie down in it. When a dog dealing with joint pain, abdominal discomfort, or early neurological changes stops using their usual spot, it's often because that position has become painful. They're not redecorating. They're accommodating something you haven't seen yet. This behavior traces back to an instinct that runs deep in canine evolutionary history. Wild canids who showed vulnerability, struggling to rise, moving with difficulty, risked being perceived as weak within the group. The suppression of visible pain is not stubbornness. It is survival programming, tens of thousands of years in the making. And modern veterinary research on pain assessment in dogs, including work associated with tools like the Glasgow Composite Pain Scale, confirms that postural changes and altered resting location are among the most consistent things an owner can observe at home. That's not your dog finding a new favorite spot. That's your dog quietly rearranging their whole world around pain they won't let you see. 5. They drink more water than normal. Have you ever refilled your dog's water bowl and thought, didn't I just fill this? Maybe you figured it was the heat, or they'd been more active than usual. Maybe you didn't think about it at all. Most people treat increased thirst as a non-issue. Water is good. Staying hydrated is healthy. So a dog who drinks more must just be doing something right. Here's what most people don't realize. A dog's baseline water intake is remarkably consistent. When it shifts without a clear reason, no new exercise routine, no change in food, no heat wave, that shift is frequently one of the earliest detectable signs of several serious internal conditions. The body is compensating, and the water bowl is keeping score. And here's where it gets even more important. Increased thirst paired with more frequent urination, a combination veterinarians call polyuria and polydipsia, is a well-documented early marker for conditions like diabetes, Cushing's disease, and kidney or liver disease in dogs. What makes this worth knowing is the timing. These conditions are significantly more manageable when caught early, and increased water intake can show up weeks or even months before anything else does. That extra trip to the water bowl isn't your dog being healthy. It might be your dog's body quietly asking for help before anything else gives it away. 6. They watch you from a distance instead of following you. This is the sign I mentioned earlier, the one that happens when your dog thinks you're not watching. Have you ever noticed that your dog used to follow you from room to room, and at some point, they stopped? They're still there, still watching from the hallway or the doorway, but they stay where they are. Most people think their dog is just maturing, becoming more independent, going through a phase. It can even feel like a relief. A calmer dog. A dog that's finally not underfoot every second. But here's what's really happening. Dogs are deeply motivated to stay close to the people they're bonded with. Following you isn't habit, it's attachment. When a dog who used to shadow you begins stationing themselves across the room instead, it's often because moving hurts, or because something about how they feel makes sustained movement harder than it used to be. The desire to be near you hasn't changed. I still want to be right there with you, they're saying. I just can't make it that far today. Researchers studying canine mobility and chronic pain have observed that reduced following behavior, a dog choosing to watch from a fixed position rather than trail their owner, is a meaningful proxy for decreased physical comfort, particularly in older dogs with developing orthopedic conditions. And there's something else worth noting. Separation from a bonded owner causes measurable stress hormone elevation in dogs. A dog who chooses distance despite that biological pull is choosing it for a reason. That's not independence. That's your dog loving you from as close as they can manage, and hoping the distance doesn't show. 7. They're still wagging their tail, and that's the problem. Have you ever looked at a dog who was clearly unwell, maybe after a procedure, maybe at the vet's office, and noticed they were still wagging their tail? Still trying. Still showing up for you even then. You probably thought, they're such a good dog. And you were right. But you were also looking at something that goes far deeper than a personality trait. Most people read a wagging tail as proof that a dog is okay. It's the universal signal. Moving tail means happy dog. So when the tail is going, we stop looking for problems. We stop asking questions. We exhale. But here's what's really happening. And this is the thing I told you about at the very beginning. The reason that explains every single sign on this list. Dogs did not spend thousands of years living alongside humans by showing weakness. Every layer of their instinct pushes them toward concealment when something is wrong. Not because they want to deceive you. Because in the world their biology was built for, vulnerability was dangerous. Showing pain made you a liability. So they learned not to show it. And here's what changes everything. That instinct doesn't switch off because they love you. It runs alongside the love, simultaneously. A dog can be in genuine physical distress and still wag their tail when they see your face. Because you are worth the effort. The wag is real. The hidden pain is real. Both things are true at the same time. Researchers studying canine pain behavior have documented this in a phenomenon called social buffering, where a bonded human's presence actually reduces the visible expression of distress in a dog, even when the underlying distress remains unchanged. Your dog performs better, moves more easily, appears more comfortable, specifically because you are there. It's one reason dogs can seem fine at home and then reveal something different in a clinical setting. And it means that your consistent attention over time, noticing the shifts, tracking the changes, is a diagnostic resource no veterinarian has access to on their own. You are the one who knows what normal looks like. Only you. So every sign in this video matters. Not because it's dramatic, not because it's obvious, but because your dog has spent every day with you working to look okay for you, concealing the hard parts, saving the wag for when you walk in. Your dog isn't just a pet who needs feeding and walks. They are a living being who has made a choice every single day to hide their pain so they can keep showing up for you. The least we can do is learn to look closer.